space.
Okay.
I'm speaking with Mary Virginia Lynam, and we're talking about the George Hitchcock House and its place in American history. Why don't you talk a little bit about how it became nationally registered as a national landmark?
Okay. The George Hitchcock House is famous because there's a secret room in the basement of the house. When George Hitchcock lived here, he hid slaves in this secret room. He never was fined, and they never did find any slaves here. And that's mainly the significance of the house and what is the history of it. And it was put on the National Landmark Register a year ago, and that's quite an honor because there's less than 3,000 on the National Landmark. It had already been designated and had the National Register designation, but the landmark is much more important because there's less than 3,000 of them in the United States.
And we're staying here in this warm July afternoon, and we're in front of this secret room, which would have been open, as you have said on your tour, with shelves, hidden by shelves. So when the knock came on the door, if it did, they'd run to the open the shelves and hide the slaves behind there. And you said for up to 2 or 3 hours, perhaps longer.
Could maybe all night.
Now, how did kind of review how the slaves found their way to this site in south central Iowa here?
They were always conductors that brought them, and a conductor would come and take them on to the next safe house. And there were other ways of finding how, like there would be a candle in the window. Sometimes the certain quilts that told a story would be out on the clothesline. It was also said that sometimes there would be bricks along the door if they could get up that close, and these bricks would be painted like white. If the 3 white bricks meant that was a safe house. But it was a group of people that were helping these slaves go from safe house to safe house, and there was always a conductor. I understand that, and of course you must remember all this is secret, no documentation of it, but it's been handed down from word of mouth, but it was enough times that, it just become, well, the Hitchcock House was part of the Underground Railroad.
And so how did George Hitchcock, and you're piecing it all together, what is your knowledge of how he became involved in this activity? He was a minister.
He was a Congregationalist minister who came out here in the 1850s. He first located over around in a log cabin closer to Lewis, Iowa, which is probably where his log cabin, they're not certain where it was, but it's probably a good mile east of here. And he was associated with the Congregationalist Church. Well, if you go back in history, you find out that the Congregationalists were supporters of the abolitionist movement. They were one of the religions. The other religious group were the Friends, who were Quakers. And those two groups helped the slaves on this Underground Railroad movement. I mean, they were and what documentation we do have can be found at Grinnell College. It's a Congregationalist supported college.
And this is only one of 3,000 landmarks, historical landmarks in the country.
Yes, that's right. They say that, and others that are landmarks like this are the Mount Vernon and the Washington Monument.
And just to see the restoration of the house, what's upstairs is actually exciting and interesting as well, to see the materials that people have come and put together and pulled this. This is all sandstone with 18 to 20 inch thick blocks.
18 to 22 inch walls. That's from ground up. And now from ground down to in the basement is limestone. Another thing I should tell you, that when these bounty hunters were out looking for the slaves, most houses didn't have basements. And so if a bounty hunter would come down those steps and look around here, and they'd think, wow, this great big basement, never thinking that these shelves that were here at one time hid the secret room.
And it is a storm cellar in the sense that there are a way in from the side as well. Okay, well, this is outside of Lewis, Iowa.
Lewis, Iowa.
Come down 71 over on G43, make your way to Lewis, Iowa. Mary Virginia has been giving these tours for up to 15 years and longer.
It's about 15 years.
And
it's been a long time.
You'll be glad to come and see it, and little spot of American history.